everybody. This is Shri, and welcome back to my channel, Vedic Living. Today, I'm going to go over the month of April, the transits that are upcoming, and what we have to expect in the world, in the different countries, different world leaders, and also in your personal life. You know, in the year 2022, in this year, the month of April is the most active in the terms of transits because almost every planet in the sky is moving to a different sign, except for Pluto and Uranus and the nodes. The nodes have already moved signs on March 16th. Now remember, I'm talking about the sidereal degrees of the planets. This is the Vedic, the Indian way of looking at the chart, not the Western. So it's a sidereal degree of the planets. So that is actually very rare that, almost every planet is changing signs in 1 month. And this month is it's going to be huge changes, very volatile. And at the same time, everything's going to feel different around you in your personal life and in the world. It's a time of great change. Okay, expect that. So this month, I'm going to go over, each date in the order that it comes. But at the same time, I want to kind of revise what happened in March. March has also been pretty, active in terms of what's going on around the planet. The nodes shifted, Rahu and Ketu, they moved on March 16th. And then the planetary war between Mars and Venus is still active. It's still going on. It's, almost been 4 weeks now. So remember that planetary war of Mars and Venus started in the month of February. That's kind of what triggered this whole Russia-Ukraine issue that we are seeing, because those two planets are in war. They're actually, walking step by step together, right? And Venus stands for peace, Mars stands for war. When they come together, it's a planetary war. And this is happening in the sign of Capricorn. What does Capricorn stand for? It stands for government, control, leaders, government leaders. And a lot of the time it has to do, because it's an earth sign, it has to do with rules and regulations. That's what we are seeing around the world. And remember, Saturn has been in Capricorn since 2020. And that's kind of brought about all the rules and the things that we have to follow because of the virus and all those different regulations. All of that has been going on since 2020. That is Saturn and Capricorn. But this month of April, everything's going to change. There are huge changes around you. You'll just feel like things are very different, but at the same time, it's going to be very volatile, okay? Because whenever the ground is shifting and moving underneath you, things are very volatile. So you have to remember to find your center, be calm, and wait till this passes, okay? So what's coming up in the month of April? Let's look at it one by one. This month is huge, like I said. Almost every planet is moving signs. There are 2 new moons, there is a solar eclipse, and there are huge conjunctions happening between outer planets and inner planets. So this is going to be big. Okay, so the 1st of April, April 1st, is a new moon. Remember, whenever there is a new moon, it is a time to set intentions. If you meditate, it's a good time to meditate, set an intention for the upcoming year. April, this particular new moon is the Pisces new moon. So remember that this is a great time to set an intention for yourself and, what you want to do in the coming year. Okay. April 2nd, Sun and Mercury are going to conjunct. Mercury stands for communication, kind of marketing, all kinds of media. That's Mercury. So when Sun and Mercury comes together, and remember, Mercury is going really fast at this time of the year. It's going very fast. So you will see that, the news media, the kind of communication, the kind of news that's reaching you is like every second it's changing. It's going to be so fast. Things are going to change. Things are going to be trickling down to you at a high speed. And you may feel like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Why is so many changes happening? It's because Mercury is going so fast. And Sun, it's going to come in conjunction with Sun, which actually stands for world leaders on April 2nd. Okay. April 12th, there's a huge conjunction happening between Jupiter and Neptune. This is big. This is something everybody has been looking forward to this year because Jupiter and Neptune coming together. Of course, Jupiter stands for truth, Neptune stands for spirituality. When they come together, you have this great awakening and spiritual kind of recognition of your soul and the connection to the other world and all of this wonderful stuff that we are expecting. But remember, this is in the last few degrees of Aquarius. And Aquarius stands for groups and organizations. It stands for communities, people coming together, people kind of creating these groups to, do a certain thing or to go against a certain cause. And when Neptune alone can do a lot of damage sometimes, because Neptune stands for data leaks, it stands for toxins, it stands for oil, right? So when Jupiter comes together with it, remember, oil prices can go up this month again, right? I mean, believe it or not, it's already been up for a long time, but it can actually go higher this month because Jupiter is going to expand that Neptune. Neptune stands for oil. And Jupiter stands for truth. Neptune can sometimes mean misinformation, right? It can be that smokiness, that shroud that is put on top of the truth. So when Jupiter and Neptune comes together, you may see that things are coming out into the open. The truth is coming out into the open. The media cannot sway or kind of manipulate public opinion anymore because Jupiter stands for truth. So on the 12th of April, when these two planets come together, and remember, when I talk about these dates, it's not that something is going to happen on that exact date. These are huge planets that we are talking about. So as they come close to each other, give it a week before and a week after for that effect to wear off, because they're really going to move slowly. And once they come together, of course, the impact is the highest. But it might be a few days before and a few days after that you'll see the impact. So, you may see, like I said, truth can come out because that's Jupiter, oil prices can go up. There may be some data leaks and like some toxin leaks around the world that you'll see. And, because Jupiter is coming together with Neptune, the truth regarding those leaks could come out, right? So that's a good thing. Now, I skipped over one date because, I wanted to really focus on that date. April 4th to 5th. I skipped over it because I wanted to come back and talk about it in detail. April 4th to 5th, Mars and Saturn coming together at 28 to 29 degrees of Capricorn. Okay. If you go to my website, vedicliving.com, click on the chart calculator, open up your chart and calculate your chart, open it up. If you have planets at 28 degrees of Capricorn or 28 degrees of Cancer, then that's a date for you to really watch, because when Mars and Saturn comes together at that degree, it can cause some tumultuous kind of events. Okay. Now in the world, this is very prominent because this particular degree is very prominent in Russia's chart, in Ukraine's chart, in Putin's chart. Okay, so I think something big is going to happen with the situation that's going on there right now. Some big event is going to happen, which will really bring things to a closure, hopefully, after that. But the first week of April, okay, going to, or I would say the effect would last till the 10th of April. Watch for some major things to happen in that situation because those charts are getting activated at that degree point of 28 degrees of Capricorn. Another chart that I noticed is getting activated is Queen Elizabeth's. She has her planets at exactly those degrees. If you see in this chart, she has planets at those degrees, at 28 to 29 degrees of Capricorn. Okay, and because it's, the ruler of her chart, Jupiter is also there, I think she's not going to feel well in this time frame. She has to take care of herself. Okay, so this is the first few days of April that we are talking about. Up until the 10th of April, that effect can be there. So she has to be very careful in this time frame. She has to take care of herself. She has to try and reserve her energy and kind of try to ride this time out, because it looks like it's really going to trigger her chart because of those planets being at those exact degrees. So definitely I'm seeing changes in Russia, Ukraine in this time frame. I'm seeing impact to Queen Elizabeth's chart. And also because of this particular conjunction happening at that point, and you have to remember, because it's Saturn and Mars, it does mean fighting. It does mean conflict. It means no peace of mind. Okay, so this is definitely going to escalate some issues in those areas that I talked about, those countries and world leaders. Okay, so remember that. Now, the next thing that's happening is on the 27th of April. So all this is happening, everything that we talked about with the Saturn Mars conjunction and the Sun Mercury, all of that is happening the first 10 days of April. Okay, now going into the later part of April, you have 27th of April when Venus is going to enter Pisces, and Venus is in its sign of exaltation when it's in Pisces. So hopefully after all this chaos, that Venus can bring us some harmony, some hope, some optimism, some happiness, because it's happy. Venus is happy in Pisces, so that's something to look forward to. 28th of April, Saturn's going to enter Aquarius. Saturn's been in Capricorn for 2.5 years. So it's been a long haul for a lot of us. And I think the whole Saturn being in Capricorn really triggered the virus, the pandemic, and all of that. So we have been looking forward to Saturn moving into Aquarius. Remember, Capricorn is about government, but Aquarius is about people. It's about communities. So you're going to see the shift of power from government control to people being in control. You're going to see that. But remember, this is, it's going to not last that long, because Saturn's going to retrograde and go backwards into Capricorn in July and going to be there for a few more months. So we may have to revisit some of those things, okay, like the pandemic, the virus, some of those things we may have to revisit, the rules and regulations. It may come back a little bit in our frame, but it's going to go away again once Saturn is back in Aquarius. So you're going to see some changes. Okay, so that's good. Now the 30th of April is our eclipse. Okay, that's the second new moon that I was talking about, but this one is conjunct the nodes. So there's a solar eclipse happening. Remember, I told you in November last year when the eclipse happened, it triggered certain charts. So, President Biden, his chart was getting triggered, and, even VP Kamala Harris' chart was getting triggered. So the month of April, before the next solar eclipse, they have to watch out. I think President Biden should also be watching out at that time frame. But this solar eclipse, remember, will then set the trend for the next 6 months. I think world leadership is going to get really impacted. There's going to be a change in world leadership in many countries over the next 6 months, from April through the end of the year till the next solar eclipse comes. Okay. And a lot of these events that are happening during the 6 month period will culminate into a major event in the first week of August. On the 1st of August, there is going to be a main transit. That's a huge conjunction between Rahu, Mars, and Uranus at 24 degrees of Aries. The reason I'm talking about that now, even though it's in August, is because I think this solar eclipse that's happening on April 30th is really going to set off into motion some events which are ultimately going to go and culminate in that first week of August and cause a major kind of event. Okay, and this is at 24 degrees of Aries. So again, if you have planets at 24 degrees of Aries or 24 degrees of Libra, then you should take care in those couple of weeks. It's probably a time to lay low, take some time off, relax, don't make any major decisions, don't try to travel in those 2 weeks. So it's a great time to take some time off, okay? Because those 2 weeks are going to be very volatile, especially the first week of August. And I think whatever is happening at this solar eclipse time frame, April 30th, will really set the trend for the next 6 months, especially that event in the first week of August, okay? And I'm also seeing that the chart of Taiwan is getting impacted in that transit in the first week of August. There is a trigger happening in the chart of Taiwan. So, again, I'm not sure if I have the right time and the date, but that's the chart that I'm using. And there is a trigger happening in the sign of Aries for the chart of Taiwan in August. Okay. Now, 30th of April, there's also another conjunction happening. Jupiter and Venus come together. Both are benefics. So, our first thought is this is going to be great. I think so. I do think it's going to bring some hope, but at the same time, I am not that, excited about the degree that it's happening at. It's happening at 3 degrees of Pisces, which is the fixed star sheet. And this star does deal with sorrow. Okay. So there can be, and remember, this is happening in Pisces, it's a water sign. So, the end of this month, when this conjunction happens, you could see some storms, earthquakes, earth changes, weather changes. There can be some destruction also going on. It's a star of sorrow. So, unfortunately, that's not great news. But ultimately, once that degree mark is passed, so the 3 degree of Pisces, so give it a couple of days, the 30th to the 1st or the 2nd of May. Once that degree mark is passed, the rest of the month of May should be good because Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces, which it rules, and Venus is in its sign of exaltation. So, you know, I think that's a good month, okay, to travel. The month of May is great for traveling, to start new projects, to, pick up where you left off. I know things have been really tough the past few months. So the month of May is great, okay? But we just have to remember that the 30th of April, when that conjunction of Jupiter and Venus happens, at the 3 degree mark, for those couple of days, it's going to be a rough patch, okay? There's going to be some earth changes and earthquakes, and maybe expect some storms and that kind of stuff happening. Okay. Another big thing that's happening, the planetary war is finally breaking up. I think the planetary war between Mars and Venus was a big critical factor in this whole Russia Ukraine thing. So once that breaks up towards the end of April, we are going to see some resolutions. We are going to see some things being put in place where, there's going to be some closure to some of those events that are happening there. So, of course, we all want a good resolution to whatever is happening there because people there are suffering. Okay. It's not a good thing at all that's happening. Now, the Kala Sarpa Yoga has been in effect since January, so that is finally going to be broken as well by Mercury moving out of that cycle, right? All the planets have been between Rahu and Ketu since January. Mercury is going to break the Kala Sarpa Yoga, right? So that is great because whenever you're in a Kala Sarpa Yoga, because all the planets are hemmed in between Rahu and Ketu, you feel stuck, you feel trapped, you feel like things are not moving, you feel hopeless. But now this is going to change. Mercury is going to break it. So that's another big change that's happening in April. I'm telling you, this is one of the most active months this year. Okay. Now, you do have to remember, with everything that I've been telling you, there are positives and negatives that I've told you. But ultimately, you have to remember Neptune does stand for spirituality. It's going into the sign of Pisces, which is a very spiritual moksha kind of sign. So this is a great time to learn meditation, to meditate if you know how to meditate. This is a great time to keep a sleep journal, write your dreams. Whenever you wake up in the morning, because remember when Neptune and Jupiter come together, like I said, in the 12th of April and through the end of the month, this is a great time to be connected to the other side because there is a very thin kind of separation between this world and the spirit world. So you can get messages, and mostly we get these messages in our dreams. So, watch out for that. Keep a dream journal. Let's listen to your inner thoughts, listen to your intuition. It's extremely psychic and spiritual, this particular conjunction that's happening. So I think that's amazing. Okay. So at the end of the day, with all the volatility of this month and the changes and the feeling of the rug being pulled from under your feet. This is a month of changes. So this is a great time to connect to yourself and meditate and to understand what your soul is wanting. Connect to your inner voice. It will tell you exactly what you should be doing, and it will never be wrong, right? Trust your intuition. And when we all do this at the same time, we raise the mass consciousness. And of course, this month is going to bring a lot of change, but I think most of the change is going to culminate in positive things. But we have to get through this time frame first. So that's why I wanted to make this video and give you a quick update on what's coming up in the month of April. And remember to go to my website and use the chart calculator. While you're there, sign up for my newsletter. I send a free newsletter every month with a lot of details about what's coming up in the next month. And also at the same time, I want to remind you that my teacher, Joni Patri, is starting a new series called the Shooting Stars series, which is a weekly series. And I'm so happy that she thought of doing that, because she's trying to bring people together in the light. We are going to talk about positive things. We are going to talk about things that are going to help our spiritual evolution. We are going to evolve as souls better. And when we come together, we form this community. Remember, we talked about all of these transits going into Aquarius. What is Aquarius? It's communities, it's groups, it's organizations. So this is a great time that she's starting this particular group. We are going to meet every week on Tuesdays. I will put a link below this video for you to sign up to that group. And the first class starts on the 29th. So I hope you decide to sign up and you're there. And other than that, I didn't have anything else to talk about today. I will come again with another video very soon, because all of these transits that are happening in April, I think it's justified to give each one of them a video of their own, because they're all huge things that are happening.